This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we started with Maven tool. The main use of Maven tool is to create the projects, to build the projects. And the main use of going with Maven is to add the project dependencies into the project. So how to add? In pym.xml file, we just copy the code from Maven repository and paste it in pym.xml file. So we'll be seeing once again today. Then we have taken Hibernate introduction. Hibernate is what type of framework? ORM framework. Hibernate is ORM framework, means object relational mapping. We create a project class, the class object which we want to persist into database table. Then we are going to map our class with the table. That's the main thing of ORM framework. So Hibernate is an ORM framework. Now, today let us develop the application. Developing a Hibernate 6 application, version 6, Hibernate 6 application it's using Maven. So the first step is we need to create a Maven project. Create a Maven project. How to create the Maven project here? See, just to go to file, new, and here you can see Maven project. Here I want to skip the archetype selection. So make a check mark here. Create a simple project, skip archetype selection, make a check mark and say next. Then it will ask you the group ID. So I'm going with the group ID like Hibernate 6 and artifact ID, the project name Hibernate 6 project. Hibernate 6 project. And packaging is jar. That's it. Just provide group ID and artifact ID and say finish here. That's it. The project will get created. So what we have to do? Click on File, New, Maven project. Make check mark to create a simple project. Skip archetype selection here. That's skipping the archetype selection. Click next. It will ask you the group ID. I'm going with Hibernate 6. Artifact ID, Hibernate 6 project. Then click finish. That's it, which creates the project to us. Once the project is created, now we need to add the project dependencies. So where we should add? In pym.xml file. In pym.xml file, we need to add the project dependencies. So how to add here is, we have to take the dependencies element. So when you select the archetype like internal maven-archetype extract, it will write the dependency element. But here we have to write the dependency element here. Dependencies. In between these dependencies, what we need to add? The Hibernate dependencies. So the next important step is add the following dependencies in pym.xml file of Hibernate 6 project. Dependencies. So we have to create the element dependencies. So the dependency what we need to add is Hibernate dependency, like this. Just to go to search engine like Google, whichever the dependency you require, just to type it, Hibernate dependency Maven. Go to this Maven repository, take the version, so always go with the final here. So don't go with CR, okay, go with final 6.2.7 final. So just release it July 21st only, July 21st. Now today is 24th, okay. So take this version, then copy this piece of code, and we have to paste in between dependencies element, we have to paste it here. In between element, we have to paste it. Just remove this. Okay. Then one more dependency we need to add, that is MySQL connector. Here only can search MySQL connector Java, search for this, take this MySQL connector, take the version 8.0.33. I think this is also released recently, 8.1.0. Let me, to be safer side, let me go with this one, 8.0.33. Copy this and paste over here. You can go with any a dependency. So these two dependencies we have added here. So these two dependencies you add in between dependencies element. Clear up to here? I'm going with the latest ones. Clear? Any questions? Right. Now, yeah.
Sir, pom.xml file is part of only Maven project or can it be
Yes,
part of some
yes.
other project?
No, Maven project. For Maven project only, pom.xml will be created. Okay.
Okay.
Now, here, one more thing you observe. If you open the dependencies here, JRE system library, no, where they are located. JRE system library. I did not save it. Sorry. Let me save it. Once we save it, you can see Maven dependencies. After adding the dependencies, we have to save it. So if you expand this Maven dependencies, see how many jar files got added to your project now. So if you are not having Maven tool, copying these many jar files, downloading these many jar files, adding to the build path, it is a complex part of the developers. So this is the place where we make use of what? Maven. Right? Then. Now, one more point here. But when you create the Maven project, it is going with the version 1.5. It's going to see Java version 1.5. I want to go with the latest version, whatever the version you are having on your system, I want to use that. So to do that, we need to add some more piece of code here. We need to add some more piece of code like build. What is your source directory? Source directory is what? src/main/java. Plugins, plugin, so the artifact here is maven compiler plugin. So just I'm adding the compiler plugin, and the Maven version of Maven is 3.5.1. Coming to Java version configuration, here we have to provide the Java version. Source version is 18. In my case, I'm having 18. Then target means after compilation, the target version also, the runtime version also I'm going with what? 18 version only. Right? So this we need to add. Okay. So complete, you can just take the code. So just I'm going with the main thing is 18 version. So what you do? Just to refer the program here. Refer program pym.xml file. Just take the code, just copy my pym.xml file and paste it in your pym.xml file. That's it. Then after saving, still it is showing 1.5 only. Still it is showing 1.5. So what you do is right click on your project and say Maven update project. Remember, right click on project and say Maven update project. Say OK. That's it. See here, Now it has been updated to Java SC 18 version. Okay, this step we need to do. Okay, right. So this build, just add it in your pym.xml file, one-time process. Now, the next step. Now let us come with the application. The setup is ready now. Now let us come with the application. So the application, what is here, when you want to go with Hibernate, we create one project class, the class which you want to persist into the table. So for that, let us create a package. Create a package com.hibernate in src/main/java folder of Hibernate 6 project. Now create a project class. Create a project class student in com.hibernate package. Let us go with this class now. So under src/main/java, create a new package com.hibernate. Finish. Now under this com.hibernate, create a project class student. Go with the private properties. Private int student number, private string student name, private double marks. Now we have to generate setters and getters. How to generate getters and setters? Right click and say source, and you can see the option C, generate getters and setters. Select all and say generate. Now the project class, the Java Bean class is ready now. Now after creating this Java Bean class, so what is our next step? We need to do the mapping part. In the last class I mentioned, no, once we create project class, we need to map our class with the database table. So for that, we need to create the mapping file. So the next step is create Hibernate XML mapping file. I'm going with the name student.hbm.xml. Any name, you can go with any name, but extension should be hbm.xml. HBM means Hibernate mapping. Then where we have to create in src/main/resources folder of Hibernate 6 project. student.hbm.xml, where we have to create under src/main/resources folder. Right click on this resources folder and say new other XML file, XML file. Then go with the name student.hbm.xml to finish. Now come to source tab. Now we have to follow some templates here. We have to go with the templates. Like I'll be sharing these templates to you. Hibernate XML templates. Even if you browse in Google also, Hibernate XML mapping template, Hibernate XML configuration template, you will be getting that. So just copy this template, then paste over here. Remove this code and paste. The root tag of mapping file is Hibernate-mapping. Remember the root tag of all XML files. Remember the root tags. Now start doing the mapping part. How to start is class name equal to com.hibernate.student. What is the name of the class? com.hibernate.student. We have to refer with the package name and mapping to the table name student. The name of the table student. Nothing rule that the class name and table name should be same. I'm going with the table name like student info. Student info. Now, so the student class is now mapped with student info table. Now in this one, in this student, out of these three properties, which property can be unique? Out of these three properties, which
Student
property
number.
can
Student number.
student number, right? Which property can be unique here? student number. So that we call it as primary key. That we call it as what? Primary key. So how to generate primary keys? Using the element ID name equal to SNO, referring to the column of table SNO. So this is your primary key. So what is primary key? A primary key is unique and not null, means it won't accept null values, and not null, and use it to identify a row uniquely. We can identify a record uniquely. So generally we make the numbers like student number, employee number, customer number, item number, we make them as primary keys, account number like that. The next step, we need to map our project class properties with table columns like this. Property name equal to S name, referring to the column of table S name. Next property name marks, referring to the column of table marks. That's it. So what is the main use of this one? To map our project class properties with the table columns here. So what is the main use of this mapping file? To map our project class with the database table, to map project class properties with the table columns. And nothing rule that the property name and column name should be same. I can even go with a different name like STUD name. Right? Clear with this file, all of you?
Yes.
Right? Now, once we have done with this mapping file, so what is our next important step? We need to create one more XML file, that is Hibernate XML configuration file. So the next important step, only one time process. Create Hibernate XML configuration file. I'm going with the name. By default, the name should be hibernate.cfg.xml in src/main/resources folder. Hibernate.cfg.xml. Right click on src/main/resources folder and say new other XML file. I'm going with the name hibernate.cfg.xml. Take the template. I'll be sharing this file, configuration file template. Copy this and paste over here. Remove this code and paste. The root tag of configuration file is hibernate-configuration. Under this, we go with the session factory. Under session factory, we load the database connection properties like this. Property name equal to hibernate.connection.driver class. What is a driver class? To connect MySQL, com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. One more property name, hibernate.connection.url. This is URL jdbc://localhost:3306/java08, right? Our database name. Property name equal to hibernate.connection.username is root. Property name equal to hibernate.connection.password is root. So with these four properties, we get the connection to MySQL database. We're having one more property here. Property name equal to hibernate.dialect. Hibernate.dialect. The dialect here is org.dialect. hibernate.dialect.mysql dialect. So what is this dialect? Dialect means SQL command syntax. Dialect means what? SQL command syntax means. See, in Hibernate we use methods, right? Persist, merge, remove, like this. We use the methods. Okay, we use the methods. Now, so when we use these methods, internally it will convert into the respective database syntax commands. So which database syntax it has to convert, which database syntax it has to follow? MySQL dialect. If you are going with Oracle, we have to say Oracle dialect, like that. So if you browse in Google Hibernate dialects, you will get the list of dialects to you based on the database provided here. Now, one more property. Property name equal to Hibernate dot connection dot auto commit. We are making auto commit as false, means in the program will take care of committing the transaction. One more property. Property name equal to Hibernate dot show SQL. Show SQL. This file I am making true. What is this show SQL? I'll discuss when we run the application. The next and very important property. Property name equal to Hibernate dot HBM2 DDL dot auto create. Very important and very important entry question also this one. When you are working with JDBC, if I want to insert a record into table, do we need to create the table first? If I want to
Yes.
insert a record into table, do we need to create table? Yes. How to create table? Using create table command, right? So either you can create table at MySQL prompt, or you can even create table command in JDBC program. So in either in JDBC program or SQL prompt, we create the table. So compulsory we have to use create table command. But in case of Hibernate, if I use this property HBM to DDL data to create, then the tables will get created automatically. How it knows what table to be created? It will go to mapping file, sees the name of the table student info. So it's going to create the table student info with these three columns SNO, STUD name and marks. Then what about data type? It takes the data type of your Pojo class properties. So to create tables automatically, this property is used. So what is the use of this property? To create tables automatically. Then finally, we go with the mapping resource. What's the name of the mapping file? student.hbm.xml. That's it. That completes our configuration file. Clear all of you this configuration file? One time creation only. This is only one time creation for your complete project. Okay. Now, the next important step is we need to load the session factory properties. So these all properties are present in session factory. So we need to build a session factory. We need to build the session factory. So for that, we need to create one utility class. Utility classes means reusable classes. The code will be reusable. Wherever you require session factory to get the database connection, we refer to this utility class. So the next step is only one-time creation for entire project. Create a Hibernate utility class. Hibernate util in com.hibernate package. Hibernate util. So create. Right click on com.hibernate package and it's a new class. Hibernate util. Bigger code, only one time creation. In this one, what we require? Session factory. So for that, we have to go with the properties here, like private, static, standard, service registry. We have to go here, standard service registry. Go with one more property, private static, session factor. This is important. Finally, we have to get the session factory so that we can load the database connection properties, the Hibernate properties. So whatever we have given to load this, we require session factory. For that only we are writing this code, session factory, session factory. Okay. Now create a method. If public static session factory, I'm going with a method get session factory, here. So when you call the method get session factory, first of all we have to check whether this session factory is null or not. If session factory is null, then only I have to create the session factory, because only one session factory object I should use for doing all database transactions. So there should be only one object for your session factory for the complete project. So for that reason, we have to check if session factory is null. If it is null only, session factory is null, then we'll say here try. Here we'll write here registry. No need to remember the codes, okay? No need to remember the codes. Just keep all these codes handy with you. Registry equal to new standard service registry builder dot configure dot build. So first we have to create this registry where I'm referring to the subclass object standard service registry builder dot configure dot build. So when I say configure, which file it is going to take internally? Hibernate.cfg.xml. Even you are writing or not writing, this file it is going to load. It's going to configure this configuration file. So for that only we are referring here. New standard service registry builder configure hibernate.cfg.xml. Now, if the file name is hibernate.cfg.xml, then providing file name is not required. By default, it takes this name. But if the file name is something like xxx.cfg.xml, if the file name is xxx.cfg.xml, then compulsory we have to provide the file name here. Compulsory we have to provide the file name xxx.cfg.xml. We have to provide it compulsory. But if file name is hibernate.cfg.xml, then not required. Next, we have to create the next step, metadata sources. Sources equal to new metadata sources. To this one, we should pass the argument registry. Now say metadata equal to sources dot get metadata builder dot build. We are just creating the metadata here. Then now go with the session factory. Session factory equal to metadata dot get session factory builder dot build. Right? So what you are doing here? Whenever you call the method get session factory, first of all we are checking whether this session factory is null. Okay. So if it is null only, we are creating the standard service registry builder and we are calling the method configure. When you say configure, it is going to take your configuration file and it's going to build your configuration file. Now the next step, create the metadata sources equal to new metadata sources and pass your registry object. Now create the metadata. Now finally session factory. How to create session factory? By using metadata dot get session factory builder dot build. So the final objective is to go with session factory. Then pass here and finally return session factory. Whenever you call the method get session factory, it's going to return your session factory object. That's it. Okay. Now, so by using this Hibernate util, whenever you call the method get session factory, it's going to return object of session factory. What session factory holds? These all properties. It's referring to the mapping resource student.hpm.xml. So no need to mug up this code. Just keep this code handy with you. That's it. Just to keep this code handy with you. Because by using session factory only, we create session object. By using session only, we do the database transactions. Okay. Now, once we create this session factory, the utility class. Now let us go with the final one. Let us test our application now. Let us test our application. So create a test class student insert in com.hibernate package. Student insert. This we need to run. Now the code is simple. Only this one, only the complex part, only one-time creation, but the remaining codes are very simple now. Now right click on com.hibernate and say new class. Older versions Hibernate utility is very simple, up to 4 versions. From 5 versions only they made to create the session factory complex. The reasons behind that is up to Hibernate 4, every time we have to create session factory for your complete project. How many times you call Hibernate util.get session factory, it is used to create session factory object multiple times. But from Hibernate 5 and 6, session factory will be created only one time. So one session factory can be used for creating multiple session objects. That's the advantage here. So for that reason only they have changed the code. Now go with the student insert, its main method. See now how the code will become very simple now. So first thing is what? We have to get the session factory. How to get session factory? Session factory sf equal to Hibernate util dot get session factory. So what is the need of session factory? To load all these properties. The database connections, everything will be loaded, which is referred by session factory now. Now go with the session. Session s equal to sf dot open session. So session factory is to load your database connection properties and session is used to do the database transactions like inserting, updating, deleting like that. Now, after going with session, go with the transaction. Transaction tx equal to s dot begin transaction. Now go with the actual code. Go with our actual code. What you want to do? I want to take an object of class and in persist into table. So create object student stud equal to new student and say stud dot set snbo 111 stud dot set sname the name stud dot set marks from 500. Now the object is ready with values. So this is the major code. The object is ready with values. Now what I should do? I should make this object to be inserted into table. So for that, which method I have to call? Start of save. So when I use save, stud See, it's crossing. See, it's a line cross is done. No, that we call deprecated. Deprecated method. Deprecated means older method. It's a older method. See, the method say from type session is deprecated since version 6.0. From 6.0, the method has been deprecated. Means it's a older method. So what I have to use now? Persist. The method names have changed here. From Hibernate 6, the method names have changed. Okay. So I've even given the older methods to you. In the last class, I've given the older deprecated methods also for your reference. That's it. This method internal meaning is insert into student info. The name of the table is what? Student info. Values, your values. So this is the internal meaning of your persist method. Then commit your transaction, close your session. That's it. Now see, when we run, now observe the console now. Observe the console. Drop table if exist. It's dropping the table. And see, creating the table. Create table student info. Insert into student info. So if you want to see how SQL commands are getting executed internally, if you want to see how SQL commands are getting executed internally, then we make use of this property show SQL as what? Optional property. This is optional property for us. But if you want to see how SQL commands are getting executed, we make use of this property show SQL as true. So it's to create dropping table, creating table, and inserting record. Check your table now. Use Java 08. Now if you say select star from student info, the record has been inserted into your table. Clear? The first application, all of you? Clear all of you the first application? How to do the insert operation? Any questions? Compulsory, you have to practice this. No other way. You have to practice this compulsory. Okay? Practice on your
Sir,
systems.
in this
Yeah.
code, like it's automatically dropping a table now. So what if we have another?
If the table is already existing, it's going to drop it and recreates the table. That's the
Yeah,
next
but
thing I want.
what if we have another table? I mean, another table with the same name. So can we get any warning before it's dropping?
No warning. You won't get any warning. Okay, you won't get any warning.
Okay.
It's going to drop it and recreate here.
Okay.
Okay, I'll come to that. I'll come to that story now. Right. Now, please practice compulsory. Frameworks are very important, very simple, but if you practice it, you have to practice it. Now, understand carefully. Let me go with the program and let me change the values here. 222, the name and marks. I'm changing the values here. Now, let me run the program now. Let me run the program. Now, how many records will be present in the table now? Parikshit, you can easily answer now. How many records are present in the table?
Only one.
Just one previous
Only
record
one,
that we
right?
dropped.
Only one, because it's dropping and recreating. Right? Check your table. So there is only one record now. So this one has been deleted because see the console screen now. Drop table if exists. It's deleting the table. So when it is deleting table, we lost our previous data and recreating table and inserting. Right? Now I don't want to delete the table. I don't want to delete table. I want to use the existing table. I don't want to delete table. I want to use existing table. Then we have to go with the property. I'm keeping this code in comments. Here we have to go with the property value as update here. We have to use what here? Update. So when you go with update, what it means? To use existing tables. Go for what? Existing tables. Now come back to the program. Now change the values 111, the name and marks. Now see when we run, see the console screen now. It's doing only insert operation. It's doing only insert operation for you. Now if you check your table, now you can see 2 records. Now you can see what? 2 records here. Okay, right? So very important entry question. Create wise update values in property name equal to hbm2 ddl.auto. When you go with create, drop existing tables. It always going to drop the existing tables. Create new tables. It always goes with the new tables. But when we go with update, use existing tables here. It goes with existing tables first. But if table does not exist, then what will happen? Create new tables. Table does not exist, what it is going to do? It's going to create new tables. So update also will create tables for you, but only when the table is not existing. But create always goes with the new tables only. Even if it is existing or not existing, always goes with the new tables. Okay, clear all of you the difference between create and update? Very important intro question, this one. Right? Any questions, anyone? So please practice this today. Then next class we'll be going with the remaining part, like we'll see the remaining crude operations. We have seen only insert command. So we'll see how to go with update, how to delete and how to retrieve the records. Then we'll be learning even how to use annotations in Hibernate, how to generate the primary keys. So these all concepts we'll be discussing in tomorrow's class. Okay. So thank you all. Thank you very much. Please practice. Thank you.
Thank you.